And now, an Envision Financial podcast with Luke Smith on Canberra's 2CC.
25 to 5, and it's time to welcome to the studio once again from Envision Financial, Luke Smith. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What are you laughing about?
I'm laughing at 30 degrees, go stand in the breeze.
Get a wet towel and
That's
drape
it.
that over you.
Yeah,
There you go. Well, that works, absolutely. Today's topic, how to avoid your advisor being on the news for murder. In fact, didn't I see a headline that was even more confronting than that at some stage during the email? Look, I suppose this must be tongue-in-cheek, but
Very much
I
so.
think you're suggesting that sometimes clients can drive you nuts.
Well, look, I just think, as the...
Is that what you're intimating here?
Sometimes I look at my job as a quasi-fireman because I'm putting a fire out on one of two sides, either the client side or the staff side. And I think today's a little bit of tongue-in-cheek because this time of year people can tend to sort of lose their mind leading into Christmas. And
you just said the C word. Here we go. It's the 1st of November. We've still got almost 2 months to go.
I know, but people now start warming up to that emergency they've been sitting on for the last 7 months because they've been meaning to get around to it. So tongue in cheek today, we're going to sort of touch on some stuff that you can do to make your life easier and our life easier. Because as much as people come in and go, oh, just do it. Mm-hmm. Now, we can't. The law says you've got to do certain things in a certain way and have certain permissions and certain forms. And what people need to keep in mind is that we don't make the rules. We just have to try and execute things around them. So we have a role to play. And that could be an accountant, could be a lawyer, could be any white-collar professional, to be honest. Like, I think this applies to everyone. We have a role to play and the client has a role to play in the efficiency of what gets done. So I've just got a few little pointers here that my girls are having to do on multiple occasions, and we could tighten this up and all have fun.
Some top tips for people when they visit their financial advisor on how to reduce the chance that the financial advisor might start tearing his hair out.
Correct. And for some of us, I don't have a lot to tear out, so, help me out here.
What's the first step?
Tip number one. If you get sent some paperwork and shown where to sign, just sign there. Don't sign somewhere else. Don't sign in every available box. Just sign where the sticker is. The next big one is if it says the company from ABC requires a wet signature, okay, as archaic and as gargantuan as that is, use a pen. Don't send back a pasted in electronic signature, because what will happen is, Barb in my office will open it, she'll go, oh wow, they haven't listened to what I've said. Mm-hmm. Then she'll send it back to you. Then you'll need to print it again. Then you'll need to sign it with a pen. Then you'll need to scan it and send it back. And we've done the same thing twice, which for you might not be a problem, but if she's got 100 of you, that then starts to be really, really inefficient. Yeah. And she's trying to show everybody the same love because she goes out of her way to do everything she can to exceed expectations. But you got to help her.
And of course, if you don't actually have a scanner, you can still sign the paperwork, and there is a thing called the post office.
Look, post office, drop it off, ring my office, someone will come and get it. Like, it doesn't really matter. But my point here is follow the instruction. Don't put an electronic signature on the form, it won't be accepted. Right. She opens it up and there's electronic signature. I'm the one that has to keep her at bay. Mm-hmm. Right? She scares me a little bit. Okay? Right. So the next one is don't leave things to the last minute. Okay? If you know you need $50,000 out of your super to settle on a car purchase, give us a little bit of notice. If you're going to do something and need some funds for something, you know it's going to happen. So shoot me an email, give me a call, call Bob and go, hey Bob, I've just bought a new caravan. It's going to be $140,000. I'm going to need that money probably in the next week or two. Great, we can get in front of that, get the money ready, because in some situations, some assets may need to be sold because you may not have the exact amount of free cash available. So if you give us plenty of notice, we can get it already, have it sitting there and go, send me the bill, we'll pay it for you, no problems. Everybody gets what they want. I've got no grief and tears in my office. You've got no missed expectations because you thought that $145,000 would fall out of the sky overnight. And everybody gets along and gets what they want. You call up on a Thursday and say, we need $140,000 to settle a caravan tomorrow, and there's $20,000 in the balance of your super fund, we're going to have a problem.
Come on, you've got that much down the back of your couch, haven't you?
Please. The next one is, if you sign something, date it.
Ah, yes. This is the bane of my existence. Undated documents. I look at it. The other one that bugs me is documents that don't have page numbers. Because if you drop them and you have to put them back in order again, that is really frustrating.
Yeah, and I actually despise the double-sided print.
Oh yeah, not a fan.
I hate that as well. So if you're going to sign something, date it. Because if you've scanned it back, we can scan something, forward it on to the relevant third party and get whatever you need. If you haven't, then we've either got to send it back to you or date it and send it off. So again, you've slowed down the process of ultimately getting what you want. So if you help us, we'll help you. The next one is on the technology side. I find this is one I love. If you've made an appointment, whether it's Zoom, Teams, Google, Skype, something, and 12 others that I don't even know exist, make sure your software works before the meeting.
Right.
Because if you've waited 2.5 months to spend an hour chatting about something, and you spend the first 20 minutes getting one of your kids to work out why the microphone doesn't work, or your camera's blurry, or you're doing 14 updates because you haven't used the software in 18 months, that's going to destroy the time you have to get valuable information or an outcome that could get you in a much better position. So just test it out with one of your friends prior to the meeting.
Yes. Very straightforward.
Because I often find you've got two camps here. You've got a Teams camp and you've got a Zoom camp.
Yes.
And if you're not playing with that other software, it can be a very onerous process to bring it up to speed, get it working, get it connected, get what you need to see. All I'm saying is just test it before the meeting. Test it on your wife, test it on your husband, test it on your best friend. Who cares? Just test it so that we can actually have a chat about something valuable, not click here in the third box, because I don't have an IT degree and I can't fix it.
No.
Much as I'd love to, I can't. So make sure your microphone works. Make sure your camera works. Test that you've got the right software. Remember your password, because you may not be able to get into it. I think on the tech side, that's really important. Another one that we're finding as well is super funds and banks are becoming far more onerous in relation to their two-factor authentication, log in on a website, got a member number goes into the software sends a smoke signal to your backyard, you see the number in the smoke signal, and then you log in and see your stuff. If your super fund has sent you something, there's a very, very good chance, if you know that it's come from a superannuation provider that you are with, that it is legitimate. And I have no problem with someone calling me and saying, hey, Luke, got this from La-di-da. Is it correct? Yes, it is. So go and do it. Get your member number, set up your authentication, follow the instructions that the super fund has sent you, so that you don't ring me in 3 weeks and go, oh, I can't get into my portfolio, all my money's gone, and you're outside strangling the dog for fear that all your money's disappeared when you just didn't follow the instructions you were given. Because Barb, as much as she loves helping people and she's amazing at it, she gets to the end of the day, she wants to juggle chainsaws because she said the same thing to the same people 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And if we're going to have a gripe about software, big shout out to MyGov, big shout out to Director IDs and the team at wherever you are that made that. Well done. I don't think you'll be on anyone's Christmas list this year because that's been the greatest debacle of a setup known to mankind. So all of you out there that struggle with MyGov ID, the director IDs for companies, that was a nuclear mess right out of the gates from the government. Again, that's not Barb's fault. Barb didn't do that.
No. Indeed not.
She's just trying to help you.
I don't really have any difficulty with MyGov. To me, it's fairly straightforward.
It's not MyGov. It's the director ID and getting into MyGov because they called everything MyGov.
Yeah.
And then MyGov ID, and people have a huge amount of confusion about.
Yeah.
MyGov ID is effectively just an authentication app for MyGov.
Right.
They couldn't have found a better name for it.
Okay. Yes. All right. The director ID thing, that was a while ago, wasn't it? They rolled that out, and I found it complicated, but
it was
not impossible.
Yeah, that's right, it wasn't. But then you had to try and match IDs and get things certified. And when you've got the entire country trying to do something en masse with the threat of $1 million fine, it's far more manageable now for those that set up new entities and require it. But again, the actual process that whoever sat down and thought that was a good job, anyway.
Well, it's government work,
That's true. Let's find the hardest. Let's find the simplest thing and do it the hardest way possible to cause as much confusion as we can. So, I think they're my main ones. I know I sort of had a whip around in the office and said, "Listen, what's killing you at the moment?" And they were the ones that really cause problems. Another big one: if you get sent 10 pages, send back 10 pages. Don't send back 4, don't send back 1. If you've got 10 pages to action, send back 10. If you've got 3 things to sign, send those 3 back. Replying with, here it is, with 1 form, then means that someone's going to be stalking you for the other 2 because you haven't followed the instructions you were provided. And I appreciate everybody's busy and everybody's got better stuff to be doing, but we've got to come back and say, we're actioning something for you because you need it. So if you get it back to us, we will get it actioned even faster than we would have if we have to chase you over 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 weeks.
So it seems there's a couple of key things here. Like, first of all, is make sure the paperwork is right.
Correct.
Okay. Make sure all the pages are present.
Correct.
When you're asked to sign in the dotted line, sign in the dotted line.
Correct.
With a pen.
Correct. Correct.
And make sure things are done in a timely fashion. Don't return the paperwork at the last minute, just in case there is a mistake that needs to be fixed.
And just keep people informed. If you need something, there's a very good chance that actions are going to need to be taken. And as much as people have been very fortunate that, again, Barb and the team are able to make things appear and fall out of the sky and plug holes and keep the machine moving for you, there are certain limitations. Like if you sell a share, it could be T+1 or T+3, which is trade day +1 or +3 days to get the cash. So if Barb sold it on Monday and you asked for the cash on Tuesday, even if she could give it to you and would love to, it's not in the account because that's not how the ASX works. If you're selling a managed fund, it could take 5 days, could take 3 days, could take 12 days. So again, the more notice you have, the greater the ability Barb and the team have to get you exactly what you need without any confusion or frustration.
I guess at the bottom line, despite making a list a few moments ago, the key fundamental thing is communication.
Oh, look, that's right. It's a team event. We're half the team, you're half the team. We've both got a role to play.
Yeah.
We can't do it all for you as much as we would love to. And my girls do an amazing job of exceeding people's expectations and providing wonderful service. And any client would attest to that. But there's certain things we just cannot do. So, look, just get that done. Nah, that doesn't work.
Luke Smith from Envision Financial is with me in the studio today. We're asking the question, how to avoid your advisor being had up for murder. I think Luke's tongue is in his cheek. We'll find out when we come back with more. Well, it's about 7 minutes to 5. It's a Friday afternoon, and that means Luke Smith from Envision Financial is with me in the studio today. Luke is explaining to us what you have to do to prevent being murdered by your financial advisor. Now, that sounds pretty extreme, Luke.
Well, financial advisor, mortgage broker, lawyer, I think I'm speaking for all of us at the moment, because any of my colleagues that I speak to, this is something that I think has got a lot worse post-COVID as well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were better at this sort of stuff before COVID. I don't even think that's an excuse, but I think,
Attitudes appear to have shifted. So what are your top 3 things that clients need to remember to, ensure that they're on Centre's good list this year?
Yeah, look, I'd start with, if you're sent 3 things to sign, send 3 things back. Don't send 1, don't send 2, because people will just start chasing you, and then everybody gets frustrated because you'll be out playing golf, having lunch with your partner, doing something, and, I'll do that when I get home, and then days are lost. Keeping in mind that it's generally for you. So if you get it to me, I'll get it to you a lot faster. If you need to sign something, sign it and date it. And if it needs to be a wet signature, as archaic as that is in this day and age of technology, unfortunately, a lot of insurance companies are very old school. A lot of super funds are very old school. One super fund in particular actually won't take a signature outside of a box.
Yep.
On one of their forms, so they're still really adamant about that.
They wouldn't like me then.
Yeah, they don't like me either. So if you're going to sign something, follow the instructions. Do not post an electronic signature into something that has to be a wet signature. And if you get sent your forms, date them, send them back. You might think it's only one form, but if Barb needs to do that 100 times in a day, she could have been doing much better stuff for plenty of other people. And the last one, all tongue-in-cheek of course, is be prepared. Don't drop something on anyone and then get upset with the outcome because your expectations are unrealistic. And if you don't know what realistic expectations are because you don't know the rules, just ask. And anyone in any profession, whether it's conveyancing, mortgage broking, financial planning, or anything else, will be able to say, we can only do it this fast for this reason.
So an example of that is if you need a substantial sum of money out of your account, you can't just show up one day and say, look, hand it over now.
Yeah, exactly. And it'd be like walking into the bank now and saying, give me $20,000. They just won't do it. They'll tell you need an appointment, you needed a booking, you needed to call ahead, they needed to get it ready. If you've got an invested portfolio and you need a big sum of money over what the sort of contingency cash is, something's going to need to be sold. And as much as we'd love to give it to you that day, we can't control how fast the ASX settles the trade. We can't speed up or slow down the sale of the ETF or the sale of the managed fund or the sale of the converting preference share or whatever it is that we need to get out. So if you know something's coming up, there's a very good chance you've probably been investigating it for quite a while. And even if you're not sure, I've got some clients that are amazing at this. They go, hey, I might buy something in this area for this much soon. Can you just keep that in mind? No problems. We can have that cash sitting there ready to go. You tell me when you want it paid and it's done instantly. Great result, everybody's happy. Everybody gets what they want. You drop it on me on a Thursday afternoon, I'm going overseas tomorrow, I want my entire portfolio sold. Not going to happen.
No.
Just physically impossible. Not that we don't want to do it for you. You just can't. So plenty of notice, be prepared, keep people informed. And I reckon if people can do that, it makes your life heaps easier. It makes the people in my office happy and smiley and not wanting to come and stab me. Then I don't get killed. And I'm not trying to bat away alligators on both sides of the fence, which I'm really good at. But still, I've only got 2 hands.
Yes.
But I think the big point of today, all tongue in cheek aside, is everybody's in it together to help you get the best outcome possible. So if you do your bit and we do our bit, it runs like clockwork 99% of the time.
So Luke, where can listeners get more information?
Yeah, office number 62604749. We've got some spots available, I think, in February at the moment, as crazy as that sounds. Envisionfinancial.com.au on the internet, that's Envision with an E. We've got the podcast, The Strategy Stack of Luke Talks Money on iTunes and Spotify. We've got YouTube Shorts. We've got Envision Financial Canberra on YouTube, where you can subscribe and get the back catalogue of all of the shows. And we've got Smart Money Strategy, your ultimate guide to financial planning in all good bookstores, Amazon and Booktopia, which will make a wonderful Christmas present for the kids.
Indeed it would. Luke, thanks very much. We'll catch you next week.
See you next week.